How you doing, guys? Big Mate Warscroll here today, back once again with another video for you. Today we're going to be taking a look through the pages of issue 8 of Mortal Realms. Before we go any further, I want to say a massive thank you to Splinter, who has very generously doubled his pledge on Patreon. So I've got around 5 patrons on Patreon. Is it 5? I've got 1, 2, I've got 2 Immortal sponsors, I've got 1 Grot Oiler, and I've got, or maybe I've got 2 Grot Oilers, I can't remember now, and I've got 1 Mech Boy, I can't remember, I think I've got around 5 patrons. I always get Patreon and Patron mixed up. Anyway, that's beside the point. This video is sponsored by Splinter. He's doubled his pledge, as I said, so he's sponsoring 2 videos this month. That is so generous, thank you so much. I can't believe the amount of support I'm getting from some individuals through my Patreon. It's really generous of you to help me continue these Mortal Realms videos. If you like the Mortal Realms videos, they're getting lower views than the Conquest videos, but share them with your friends if you like. And if they like the Mortal Realms videos, maybe they can pledge towards my Patreon as well and help support this channel more widely than just Mortal Realms. But primarily, the function of the Patreon is to support the payment of the Mortal Realms magazines. As long as I can get 3 magazines worth a month funding, then I will continue to make the Mortal Realms videos, and I'll pay for one of the magazines out of my own pocket. I didn't really want to be paying for all of the magazines because Age of Sigmar's not my thing. But I'm excited to learn more about the lore going forward through the course of these, the next year and a half or so, as we delve through the Mortal Realms magazines together. Anyway, thanks so much again. If you'd like to pledge your support to me on Patreon, then check out the link in the description below. What do we get in this week's issue of Mortal Realms? Well, we get the Celestar Ballistas. Or is it Ballistias? I don't know, because in the last few issues, on the back cover when it said what's coming in future issues, it said Ballistias. But in this issue and throughout this issue, it says Ballista or Ballistas. Ballistar. Celestar Ballista. Anyway, yeah, so we get that, and it's a £15 kit. It's an easy to build kit. The vast majority of the kits in Mortal Realms I think are going to be easy to build, because a lot of the kits from, say, Soul Wars and other newer Age of Sigmar kits, a lot of them are easy to build. It's a great way to get new people excited about the hobby without having to worry about things like purchasing new glues and stuff like that. So, £15 kit, like I said. We also get, though, Cantor Blue, a new paint. I think on a previous week I said we already had this in Conquest. Now, that's beside the point. If you weren't collecting Conquest but you are collecting Mortal Realms, it doesn't make any difference to you. But we didn't actually have this one in Conquest. We had a few other blues, but not this one. So we get the Cantor Blue, the Celestar Ballistas, and that is a grand total of £17.75, meaning we save £9.76 by purchasing this magazine instead of those 2 things separately. Absolutely fantastic saving there. And we also get a charging playthrough. Turning onto the first page, we get Celestar Ballistas. They're designed to defend the Anvil of Apathesis, or they were designed in order to defend the Anvil of Apathesis. They can turn in a full circle quickly, so despite the fact that they're quite a bulky ballistic weapon, they're still quite manoeuvrable. They can be broken down and carried forwards further into the battlefield, or if you're making an orderly retreat as a Stormcast player, further away from the enemy, in order to stay out of range of any charges they might want. Oh, that's quite apt, isn't it, considering we're learning charging in the playthrough. Yeah, they can be broken down and carried by the crew, and they are often seen on the open field of battle, not just on fortifications and towers and stuff. The crew are sacristan engineers. There's a spotter and a loader. The bolts are imbued with magical lightning at the top of the Sigmarabulum spires. Turning on to the next page, Shyish. not just the dead occupy Shyish, as you might expect. Shyish is the realm of the dead, so yeah, of course, it's just the dead that occupy Shyish, isn't it? No, it's mortals as well, and it's also chaos forces and all sorts of forces. Chaos, order, death, destruction, that's the other one. That's like orcs and ogres and stuff. We'll learn more about them in future issues, I'm sure. Yeah, there's cities of Lethis and Glimsforge. They are bastions of order. And honouring Nagash, mortals often offer praise to Nagash, even if they don't worship him outright. So they offer him praise because he is all-powerful in the realm of death. And to not at least tip your hat to him would be to invite his wrath, potentially. So yeah, offer him praise, if not completely pray to him and worship him and stuff. Mortal inhabitants of Shyish are often gloomy and downbeat because, let's face it, they're surrounded by death and despair and doom. So why wouldn't you be? To live in such a realm takes a great toll on the spirit of mortal individuals. Onto the next page we get The Realms Besieged. It's a short story that tells a tale of Liberator Valorous during a battle with the Nighthaunt forces in the city of Glimsforge. His squad fighting to reinforce a Celestar Ballista position. Then on the next page, following that, wow, I'm flying through this. I've got a new technique. I've mentioned it in the previous Conquest video, but I'm taking notes instead of just reading straight from the magazine. So I feel like my videos are going to become more focused and more succinct. Is that the right phrase? I don't know. Correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. On to the next page, how to build Celestar Ballistas. It gives you a few tips which are quite handy. Clipping carefully, or careful clipping, and also fixing brakes. Now, you'll see on the image behind me these two little tips. One of them, fixing brakes, it's not the best way to fix a brake. They're just saying just glue the pieces back together. It's not always that simple. Some of the pieces, once a piece is broken, that point where you rejoin them is always going to be a bit of a weak spot. So another way to do it is to do what we call pinning, and what you can get yourself is a little hand drill from a hobby store, somewhere like Hobbycraft in the UK, and you can drill a small hole, like around 1mm, into whatever has broken, and then into the other piece that you want to stick it to, and then get yourself a paper clip, which handily are about 1mm wide. Stick one end of it in your super glue, or put a bit of super glue on one end of it, stick it into one of the parts, clip it off with just a small piece on show to stick into the other part, and stick a bit more glue on, stick it into the other part, and it gives you a stronger bond than just sticking it with the plastic glue. But yeah, that's maybe you'd consider that a tip for an advanced hobbyist when you've been doing it for a few years. It's something that can really help you reduce those breakages going forward then, or reduce reoccurrences of breakages going forward. Turning onto the next page, if I can get to it. Oh my gosh, I can't get to it. How to paint Celestar Ballistas. We've got 5 paints to use in this little tutorial bit. We've got Retributor Armour, Corax White, Cantor Blue, they're all base paints. Then we've got Raycon Flesh Shade, which the name would suggest is a shade paint, and Stormhost Silver, which is a layer paint, but we'll be dry brushing with the Stormhost Silver as we have in previous issues. There's 6 pages in total of the how to paint, and they look great. They're starting to look like they're really coming together now, the Stormcast. They've got the blue on the shoulder pads, blue on various parts of the robes and stuff, and white on various parts of the robes. And we've also, curiously, base coated the skin in white. Now, this is probably to give us a lighter base, rather than the Retributor Armour to give us a more natural looking skin tone. So we've painted it white at first, and I imagine we're going to go over it with a fleshy skin tone. On to the next page, we get Unleash the Artillery. Use half of the battle mat. This is the tutorial, the playthrough section, as they like to call it. So yeah, you're using half of the battle mat, the big battle mats, rather than the tomb battle mats that we used in last week's issue. The Glaive Race get the first turn in this little playthrough. They can move up to 6 inches, and if distance to the enemy is less than 12 inches after their movement phase, then they can charge. Now, all you have to do to charge is first of all declare your charge, and then you roll 2 dice to see if you can make that distance, if you can close that distance. So what you do, you get the 2 dice, add the result together. So if you roll a 4 and a 6, then the result will be 10. And if the distance between the unit you are using and charging with and the enemy unit they want to charge is 10 inches, then they make the charge. But if the distance is, say, 11 inches and they only roll for 10 inches, then they fail to charge and they don't move. That is everything on the charge phase, and then it plays through the mission as is typical for these tutorial scenarios at the end. I won't go into any greater detail about it because this is the only new thing we're learning here. We've also got the Stormcast Ballistas. They can move up to 3 inches. They have one, this is a new unit, this is why I'm going through it. They have 1 ranged attack, which surprised me, to be honest, because they've got like 4 little 4 barrels, if you like, on the front of this massive crossbow thing. So they've only got 1 ranged attack, but it causes D6 hits. That's the interesting thing. So in order to hit with the Stormcast Celestar Ballista, you roll 1 dice, and on a 3+ you hit. Now if you cause a hit, then you get D6 hits, so you roll a dice again, and you can get anything from 1 to 6 hits depending on the result of the dice. And then you roll to wound after that. It's a 3+ to wound as well, so realistically you're going to be getting about 4 wounds a turn, 4 wounds for every hit you get. So it's pretty decent if you ask me. And it only causes 1 damage per hit, but you could get a decent amount of hits as well, so it's pretty cool. On to the next page, it's the Warscrolls. I've just gone through the Celestar Ballista one, 3-inch movement. It can take 7 damage. Now interestingly, despite the fact that there's 3 separate models on 3 separate bases in this kit, the damage of 7 is the entire unit's damage. So basically, like, a Stormcast can take 2 damage. So let's say each Stormcast can take 2 damage, and the weapon itself can take a further 3 damage, which gives us a total of 7 damage. Now you're not removing any particular model. You're not removing any model until 7 damage has been taken, and then you remove all of the models. But yeah, that's a bit more detail on the Warscroll there. But coming soon, wow! I think this might even be under the 10-minute mark if I've timed it right. These notes are clearly going to help me get these videos to be a little bit more compact. Couldn't speak then. Coming soon, issue 9. What are we getting in next week's issue? Well, we're getting Stormcast reinforcements, as we saw last week. Sequitors and Castigators. Now these are the ones that you get in the Soul Wars box and the various other boxes, the equivalent of First Strike, whatever that is in, it was probably Storm Strike or something like that, whatever that is in Age of Sigmar. And then in issue 10, we are getting a Tomb Banshee. Ah! She's a screamy, hairy lady. Former lady. Zombie? Vampire type thing? She's a bit vampire looking, bit zombie looking. She's got the high collar, which leads me to believe vampire looking. She was probably formerly of the Vampire Counts before the switch to Age of Sigmar. But in the old world, yeah, she was probably formerly of the Vampire Counts. It's an older model. It's an older model, so it looks a bit different to the new Nighthawk models. We'll see how many more of these sorts of things the older models will get in future issues of Conquest. And that's all I've got for you this week. Oh no, that's not quite all I've got for you, because with the Tomb Banshee we're also getting some corn red paint. It's a lovely, lovely deep red, like almost purpley red paint, like almost burgundy, verging on burgundy. It's a lovely deep red paint, and it's going to be very useful to us as well. That's all I've got for you this week. I just want to remind you to check out the link in the description below to my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel, and if you'd like to continue seeing Mortal Realms videos going forward. consider pledging to the Patreon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the battlefield.